Oscar De La Hoya was boxing's golden boy, an Olympic hero, a champion across 6 weight divisions, and one of the most iconic figures in sports history. He wasn't merely a fighter, he was a phenomenon, a brand that transcended the ring, blending athletic brilliance with Hollywood charisma. Yet, at just 52 years old, as of April 2025, he faces the most grueling battle of his life. Reports confirmed in March 2025 that De La Hoya was hospitalized in critical condition, struck by a severe medical emergency. The man who once electrified arenas with lightning-fast hands now lies silent in a hospital bed, his vulnerability a stark contrast to the invincible image he once projected. This isn't just a health crisis, it's the unraveling of a life forged in the relentless glare of fame, the rise, the glory, the demons, and now, perhaps the final chapter. This is the story of Oscar De La Hoya, a tale of triumph and tragedy, resilience, and redemption. Born on February 4th, 1973 in East Los Angeles, Oscar grew up in a working-class Mexican-American family where boxing was more than a sport. It was a lifeline. His father, Joel Sr., had been a professional fighter in Mexico, and his grandfather, Vicente, had also stepped into the ring, passing down a legacy of grit and pride. From the moment Oscar slipped on gloves as a child, his talent shone. He was quick, disciplined, and driven by a purpose that belied his age. But beneath that prodigious skill lay a weight heavier than any opponent, the expectations of a family that saw him as their ticket out of hardship. His mother, Cecilia, was his quietly fierce, endlessly supportive, emotional anchor of his world. When she was diagnosed with breast cancer during his teenage years, the foundation of his life cracked. Her death in 1990, when Oscar was just 17, left a void that would shape him forever. He vowed to honor her with Olympic gold, promised that became his North Star. In 1992, at the Barcelona Olympics, 19-year-old Oscar De La Hoya delivered. His performance was a masterclass fluid, precise and emotionally charged. When he won the gold medal for the United States, he tilted his head skyward and whispered, "This is for my mom, I know she's watching." The moment struck a chord with millions. Overnight, he transformed from a kid from East LA into America's sweetheart, a clean-cut hero whose story of loss and triumph resonated deeply. His humility, paired with his dazzling skill, earned him the nickname the Golden Boy, a title that would define and eventually burden him. After the Olympics, Oscar's ascent was meteoric. Signing with top-ranked promotions, he debuted professionally in November 1992, knocking out his first opponent in a single round. It was a sign of things to come. By 1996, he'd claimed titles in multiple weight classes, showcasing not just speed and technique, but an uncanny ability to adapt across divisions. His appeal stretched far beyond the ring. With chiseled features, bilingual charm, and a rags-to-riches narrative, he became a marketing juggernaut, captivating Latino communities and mainstream America alike. He didn't shy away from the best, beating Julio Cesar Chavez twice, outboxing the elusive Pernell Whitaker, and slugging it out with Ike Quartey in a brutal classic. By the late 1990s, he'd won championships in lightweight, light welterweight, and was climbing the super welterweight ranks. A streak of 31 consecutive victories cemented his status as a pay-per-view titan. Oscar wasn't just a fighter, he was a business empire. His fights sold out arenas, his endorsement deals with brands like McDonald's and Nike pushed him into rarefied air. He released a Grammy-nominated Latin pop album, graced fashion magazines, and chatted on late-night TV. For a time, he seemed untouchable, a crossover star who brought boxing back into the cultural mainstream. But fame, as it often does, casts a shadow. The pressure to uphold the golden boy image of perfect, invincible, flawless began to erode the man beneath. That image was a double-edged sword. To the world, Oscar was the ideal, handsome, articulate, a symbol of the American dream. But perfection left no room for humanity. Every punch he threw, every interview he gave, every smile he flashed carried the weight of expectation. He trained relentlessly, signed autographs with a grin, and hid the exhaustion creeping into his soul. Behind closed doors, the cracks widened. Friends noticed signs of burnout, moments of withdrawal, a growing reliance on alcohol to dull the pain. He later confessed it was his escape, a way to silence the pressure and the grief he'd never fully processed. His personal life frayed, relationships strained under the demands of his public persona. "I was trying to be someone I wasn't," he admitted years later. The Golden Boy wasn't just a title, it was a cage. By the mid-2000s, time in the sport's new guard began to close in. In 2007, he faced Floyd Mayweather Jr., an undefeated prodigy whose defensive mastery challenged Oscar's reign. Billed as a clash of eras, the fight shattered pay-per-view records. Oscar held his own early, leveraging his size and experience, but Mayweather's precision won out in a split decision. It was a symbolic symbolic passing of the torch. Yet Oscar pressed on. In 2008, he met Manny Pacquiao, a smaller, relentless whirlwind. From the opening bell, Pacquiao dominated. Oscar, sluggish and drained, couldn't keep up. After 8 punishing rounds, his corner threw in the towel, a humbling end for a once unstoppable force. "My heart still wants to fight, but my body can't," he said afterward, his voice heavy with defeat. In 2009, he retired. Retirement didn't bring peace. Instead, it thrust him into a void. Who was Oscar De La Hoya without boxing? He pivoted to promotion, founding Golden Boy Promotions, a powerhouse that redefined the industry. Unlike traditional promoters, he positioned it as a fighter-first company, signing stars like Canelo Alvarez and Ryan Garcia, even promoting early Mayweather bouts. Publicly, he was a polished mogul in tailored suits. Privately, he was crumbling. Whispers of instability grew: erratic behavior, business disputes, disappearing acts. Depression and substance abuse tightened their grip. "I had everything and still felt empty," he once said. The boy who'd never healed from his mother's death was drowning beneath the man he'd become. The facade shattered publicly with scandals, most notably leaked photos of him in women's lingerie, a moment of drug-fueled vulnerability that went viral. He denied it, then owned it. Entering rehab as the Golden Boy myth dissolved. Multiple stints in treatment followed, each punctuated by promises of recovery, only for the cycle to repeat. In 2017, he bared his soul. "I hated myself. I didn't want to be an Oscar anymore." It was a confession of a man broken by fame, trauma, and the weight of his own legend. Yet he fought on not for titles, but for survival. Therapy, rehab, and fleeting comebacks marked his path, including a 2021 attempt to face Vitor Belfort. Days before the bout, COVID-19 hospitalized him, derailing the dream. Lingering effects, fatigue, breathing issues silenced any return. His body, battered by decades of punishment, had reached its limit. In March 2025, the world learned Oscar was in critical condition. Details were sparse, but insiders pointed to a lifetime of strained boxing's toll, substance abuse, and post-COVID complications. Golden Boy Promotions issued a terse plea for privacy. His family asked for prayers. The boxing community rallied tributes from Canelo, Garcia, and countless fans flooded in. For weeks, he hovered between life and death, a fighter facing his final round. Then, in late April 2025, a miracle unfolded. After a grueling battle, Oscar stabilized. Doctors credited a combination of cutting-edge treatment and his own stubborn resilience as a spark of the old Golden Boy refusing to fade. He emerged frail but alive, transferred to a rehabilitation facility by May. His first public words came via a shaky video. "I'm still here. Thank you for the prayers. I've got more to do." The relief was palpable, but so was the reality. This wasn't a return to the ring or the boardroom. It was a chance to heal, to live. Oscar's fight outside the ring had always been his hardest, with family, with fatherhood, with the relationships of fame fractured. A father to multiple children from various partners, he'd often been absent, consumed by his career and demons. "I wasn't the father I wanted to be," he admitted in 2022. In later years, he tried to mend those bonds, attending birthdays and graduations he'd once missed. Progress was slow, the scars deep. Professionally, too, he'd lost ties most painfully with Canelo, whose 2020 lawsuit severed a mentorship Oscar cherished. As he lay in critical condition, those unresolved threads loomed large. Now, with a second chance, he's vowed to prioritize reconciliation. Visits from his children in rehab, tearful and tentative, hint at a new beginning. Oscar De La Hoya's legacy is a tapestry of brilliance and brokenness. He won Olympic gold, conquered 6 divisions, and headlined boxing's biggest nights. He reshaped the sport with Golden Boy, opened doors for Latin fighters, and became a cultural icon. But his story isn't just victories, it's the pain of a boy who lost his mother, the pressure of a perfect image, the spiral of addiction. He fought not just opponents, but himself, seeking worth beyond the spotlight. His flaws, scandals, missteps, fractured ties make his journey human, not mythic. Today, as he rebuilds in quiet, Oscar's influence endures. The fighters he mentored, the fans he inspired, the industry he transformed, they're his echoes. If this chapter closes, it's not with a knockout, but with a man standing, scarred but unbroken, chasing peace at last. His greatest victory may yet be the one he's winning now. Not in the ring, but in the life he's reclaiming, one fragile, determined step at a time.